The best of the KQ Morning Show.
Last weekend, a group of young men, having ingested what they called magic mushrooms, found themselves way up high in the mountains of Keswick and had to call for help. The mountain rescue team, they're up there constantly finding people in all manner of difficulty. Not that often that you get a bunch of guys who are literally just seeing, I think I saw Nessie. I saw the Loch Ness Monster. Just tripping balls. And I'm reading the story, I should say, and I'm thinking about that. And having done many hikes in my life and also having ingested mushrooms on occasion, I would never think that those two things would go together. I love getting in touch with nature. That's something to me. If you're going to be tripping, get a hammock. Just lay in a nice rope hammock, maybe in between two pine trees, and just sway in the breeze. Gearing up with hiking equipment and then going for it, a multi-mile steep terrain while tripping on mushrooms. Man, not at all something that would sound remotely interesting to experience.
I do extreme stuff, so I don't have to get high. And if I'm totally bored and just sitting around the house, then that's a great time to get stoned out of your mind. It reminds me of a story we did a few years ago about this cop that confiscated some pot and decided to go home and bake it into some brownies, and he and his wife ate the brownies. Well, pot ain't what it used to be. I mean, there's got a lot more THC in there now, and he got super stoned, and the cop called 911 on himself. This is from the local news story. This is the police officer, followed by the news crew.
I think I'm having an overdose of this girl, is my wife.
Overdose of what?
Marijuana. I don't know if it had something in it. Can you please send rescue?
Do you guys have fever or anything?
No, I think we're dying.
Okay, how much did you guys have?
I don't know. We made brownies, and I think we're dead. Time is going by really, 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 really slow.
Well, instead of being charged... Sorry. Instead of being charged, the police department let the officer resign. His wife was not charged either. So far, police officials have not commented on the case.
Now, how do you follow a story like that?
Yeah.
I'm so wasted.
Time is going really, really slowly. I can relate to that, the time slowing thing. I was never a good stoner. I tried. I mean, I was in a perfect environment to become a good stoner. I was in a band where everybody else, or most of the other guys, were smoking weed all the time. I've played exactly one gig really stoned, and it was an absolute nightmare because you might think I played really slow and sluggishly. It was the exact opposite because my brain was moving so slowly. I've heard the music as dragging and being sluggish, so I was overcompensating by playing like a hamster in a wheel. I was flying, and in my brain, it couldn't get fast enough. I was like, songs are stuck in mud. And I'm up there going, and the whole band is looking at me going, slow down. They were furious. And I'm like, you're the guys that told me to get stoned before the show. Completely the exact opposite of what you'd expect. But yeah, and it only took once, and I realized this is not a good idea. It was every moment of that gig was an eternity, but apparently it was the fastest gig we ever played. But it took 9 hours for me. Indianapolis, Indiana. Again, I apologize to anybody who was there.
The best of the KQ Morning Show.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Whoo, baby. Desmond Child is going to be calling in a few minutes. Desmond Child is a man who has co-written over 80 top 40 hits. His records have sold 500 million records worldwide. First hit the big time to rock fans anyway when he got in the studio with a band called Kiss and wrote a song called I Was Made for Lovin' You. When everyone said Kiss went disco, yeah, it worked. That was a number one song all over the world. Desmond Child has been on a tear ever since. And we're going to catch up with him in a few minutes. He's got a book out that is called Livin' on a Prayer, Big Songs, Big Life. Fascinating cat. I'm looking forward to that. In the meantime, as we just discussed briefly during the commercial break here behind the scenes, we mentioned that Minneapolis legends The Replacements had a re-release of their 1985 album, Tim, mixed really for the first time ever by a professional set of ears. And we were talking about how much we were looking forward to hearing it. Well, The Replacements, by design, they're supposed to sound crappy. It's part of the punk aesthetic, and I totally get that. I put the record on. Rosemary and I were in the car the first time, and I said, let's listen to it. And I was not exaggerating when I went to social media to say I might stop crying soon.
Yeah.
Because An album that means so much to me over the years, sounding the way it sounded, blasting out of those speakers. It was like a brand new record that I already knew. It's impossible to get my arms around how much that record means to me generally, and then now to hear it this way.
Yeah, I listened to it all the way through. It was very emotional. Tim, arguably their greatest album, front to back. Tim just didn't have a weak moment in there. And
nope, it's absolutely fantastic.
I could talk about it, but I'd rather talk with Desmond Child.
We'll come back. Desmond Child joins us on the KQ Morning Show right now. Desmond, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
The book, Living on a Prayer, Big Songs, Big Life. Desmond, where do you even begin? If you're not going to talk about your your life story, which is fascinating in its own, let's talk about music. What's the first story when you're thinking about writing a book? You're like, well, I got to put this one in.
Well, I was told by one of my best friends, Helene Cooper, she's a 2-time Pulitzer Prize winner, that I should move the story of writing Living on a Prayer to the beginning of the book.
Okay.
And so we did that, and it worked like a charm because it was like you're right into the center of the writing session with John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora.
There are songs that you come in and you see just a mess, and you have to put it together and Frankenstein, get people to say, no, I see it, but let me do some work here. But at the same time, I got to think there's songs in your career where you just needed to nudge someone. They were so close, but they didn't even know it. And that's a genius skill in itself, is it not?
Well, I wouldn't call it genius, but, like when I went to visit with Aerosmith for the very first time, they had a start for a song, and they had a backwards guitar riff that went, it was like what they call a loop, and it went da-da, 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 and Stephen was singing, cruising for the ladies, da-da, da-da,
yeah.
Cruising for the ladies, and I still hadn't said even hello, and I was just standing there, and they said, well, what do you think of that? I said, that's bad. And they looked at me like, bad? I said, Van Halen wouldn't put that on the B-side of their worst record.
Oh, boy.
Just trying to get a rise out of them. No cracking of a smile, nothing. And so then Steven sheepishly said, well, originally I was singing Dude Looks Like a Lady. And Joe piped up and said, but we don't know what that means. And it's like, okay, I know what that means. This is a hit title. Let's do this. And so we began building the story. And, the second verse goes, never judge a book by its cover, or who you're going to love by your lover. And, that little couplet has stood the test of time because it was a beautiful thing to put out there in the world. And look how ahead of its time that little bit of that song was.
That's pretty incredible. Desmond Child's with us on the KQ Morning Show. As a guy called in, either asked in happily or called in by someone else, hey, these guys need help, you've probably experienced all kinds of reactions and responses from people saying, hey, thanks for showing up, to maybe in this situation, people looking at you like you're the enemy at first.
That's true. In the case of Aerosmith, they did not want to write with an outside writer. They never had before. And before they knew it, I got into their hearts, and they trusted me, and I kept being asked to come back. We wrote so many songs together through the years. And when John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora invited me to co-write with them, they had no plan of actually recording any song they wrote with me. Their kind of secret plan was to try to get songs for me to place with other artists, which did happen with Cher, and that's how she met Richie with a song called We All Sleep Alone. But when the very first writing session, we wrote You Give Love a Bad Name, which was a title I brought in my back pocket, literally on a little piece of paper. And that's when John looked at me and, his face lit up, and I never saw so many teeth, actually. And I said, okay, that's $1 billion smile, which was proven right. And, this guy's a star. And Richie was just charming and just the most wonderful, glowing person. I said, these guys are winners. And so I just, kept being asked to come back, and the second song we wrote was Living on a Prayer. So 2 for 2, not bad, right?
No, that's not bad at all. That's a pretty good start right there. That's an amazing. It's pretty incredible too, because that's just one of a million stories in your book, and from this career with all these songs. But I think those two have to still stick out a little bit, though, right? I mean, You Give Love a Bad Name and Living on a Prayer. Those songs are still played as much today on classic rock radio as they were in real time.
I know. We just got notice of, like, I think it was like 3 or 4 months ago, that Living on a Prayer reached 1 billion plays on Spotify.
Incredible. Incredible.
Billion. I mean, Spotify has only existed like 8 years, right? So imagine all those decades of plays that we had before that. So that's the great thing about music. It gets played all over the world, and as time goes on, people fall in love with the songs. They don't even know who sang it. Yeah. You know, they can't probably even pronounce the name of the artist. But, you know, you go into the jungles and somebody's heard Living on a Prayer, that's for sure.
Desmond, your songwriting is unparalleled for years, many, many years. We love talking about, it's a Desmond Child song. Google his name and just hit, songography or something like that, and so people can see everything that you wrote. Have you ever been in a band? You ever recorded your own music, wanted to be on that side of it?
Absolutely. I always wanted to be a star. And so I had my first band, a vocal band, Desmond Child and Rouge. And we're still going. And I sang with these gorgeous women, Maria Vidal, Diana Grasselli, and Miriam Valley. And they have just these gorgeous harmonies. We even made it to be with the musical guest of Saturday Night Live back in the day. So the thing that happened was that we weren't really with the right label. And everybody got somebody in their life saying, what do you need them for? You could be a solo artist. And that broke us up for a while. And during that window is when I started writing with Kiss and Aerosmith, Bon Jovi, with Joan Jett. I Hate Myself for Loving You. I mean, that's the Sunday Night Football theme. And a wonderful thing happened with that song. Dolly Parton recorded it for her Rockstar record album that's just coming out. And Joan Jett is a featured guest on it. So now I can put on my bio that I collaborated with Dolly Parton. What do you think about that? I mean, that's like the greatest honor ever.
It is. Yeah. I said the same thing when I went to Dolly World. I was like, hey, man, me and Dolly, we're partnering up here. Desmond Child's with us on the KQ Morning Show. It truly is an embarrassment of riches to try to figure out what question to ask you next. So many songs. And, of course, not just rock. I mean, La Vida Loca. I mean, your name is on so many hits that people know all around the world. Did you grow up in a musical household? Was the radio or were records being played on at all times?
My mother was a songwriter and a poet. Her name was Elena Casals, and she's known as La Musa. And later on now we have La Musa Awards for the Latin Songwriters Hall of Fame. There was always a song being written. And, being a little kid, I knew my mother's moods. So, if she was happy, she'd write a happy song. If she was sad, which was actually most of the time, she'd write these kind of heart, breaking boleros, Latin boleros. And so I grew up, I didn't know people didn't write songs. So by the time I was 2 years old and able to get up on the piano bench, I was composing, by ear, my own little concertos and things. And when I was 14, I wrote my first pop song to a girl that I had a crush on, and it was her birthday present. It was called Birthday Blues. And I got to sing it to her at my 40th high school reunion. So it was so cute.
That's unbelievable.
She had a little tear in her eye.
I'm sure she had a tear in her eye going, why didn't I end up with this guy?
Exactly.
Might have been a bit of a different life.
Exactly.
Living on a Prayer, big songs, big life. Desmond, I know you are very, very on a tight schedule. I don't want to force you to overstay your welcome here with us. You got other people that want to talk about it. Big songs, big life, Living on a Prayer. Thank you. I'll say this sincerely from the music buying public for all the songs you've given us. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and I wish all of your listeners, have a lot of fun with the songs that I've written, and follow me on Desmond.Child on Instagram, because that's me there, like, answering everyone. So
done.
You know, now I have like a 1.1 million followers. What do you think about that? They're my best friends.
That's beautiful. It's good. It's good to be Desmond Child. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Cheers, brother. I met Desmond at a music festival in Mexico a few years ago. We had a mutual friend who put on a gig, and I was down there with my band Sugar Hippie. And I mean, couldn't have been just the greatest guy. Literally, like you just heard, he's just that friendly and that open. Because we're sitting at this dinner, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, I just want to ask all these questions, and he's thrilled. He'll talk about anything he's been a part of. And I do think at one point I said, do you know anyone with a time machine? Because I'd like to get you in a couple sessions I was involved with along the way. That would have been helpful.
Well, just Google Desmond Child songs and then sit there and just go through the songs and go, that one too. It's Poison, Alice Cooper. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
There are plenty of fixers in every, there's people that come up and punch up a script in Hollywood. Like, we got a movie, we're going to make it, but we need, someone just come in and fix the script. And they just do the window dressing, but there's a difference. You take something good and make it great. And Desmond's a guy who's come in, and as he said, he's just made some minor suggestions, but he also has gone into studios legendarily and looked at an artist and said, all of this is terrible. We're starting from scratch. Like, no, I mean, whatever you need, he is a Swiss Army knife. The guy's record speaks for himself. Anyway, I was thrilled to get a chance to say hi to him right there in the air. That's a fascinating cat.
The best of the KQ Morning Show.
Back to the best of the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
Craig Gass is joining us, who is hysterically funny. Also, one of the great impressionists.
Very talented lad.
Craig, welcome, sir. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you? Did you tell the audience I ran into you at the Super Bowl? I got in a lot of trouble that week because friends of mine at these sports stations were asking me to join them as somebody famous so that it sounded impressive back to the cities they were broadcasting.
Sure, yeah.
And the only remotely sports guy that I can do an impression of is Tom Arnold, who used to host the Best Damn Sports Show, period.
Right.
So I was going down the row doing all these radio hits, being full-blown Tom Arnold going, hey, guys, it's been a lot of fun here at the Super Bowl. A lot of celebrities are coming. I was actually at a Cocaine Anonymous meeting last night with Brett Favre. I probably shouldn't say that out loud, but I was at a Cocaine Anonymous meeting with Brett Favre. He's a big cokehead, and his sponsor is Bob Costas, who's addicted to upskirt porn. I probably shouldn't say that out loud, but he's always popping off at work. And I just started rattling off random sports people and attaching them to addictions. People started tweeting Tom Arnold from around the world going, dude, it's supposed to be anonymous. And Tom started fighting everyone on Twitter. It was amazing. But yeah, I mean, you and I there's a lot of things that we've never even discussed that I was looking forward to catching up with you on.
Well, I have to start at the very beginning because this has always been a mind-blowing thing to me about you, and that's for a guy that does so many voices, you actually grew up in a deaf family.
My mom, my dad, and my sister are all completely deaf, which sounds like a joke, but it's not.
Right.
I've opened for a lot of rock bands. I've opened for Kiss. I've done stand-up comedy opening for Metallica, and I found the most insensitive moments. Like when I opened for Metallica, the drummer of Metallica, Lars Ulrich, actually introduced me to his band by saying, hey, man, this is Craig. This is the guy that does all the voices, and check it out. His whole family is retarded. I go, they're retarded?
Oh, my God.
Like, you are messing my story up. But
oh, my
God. But most people will get sensitive when I tell them that my family is deaf, which is funny to me because the most insensitive jokes I've ever heard about deaf people have been from my own deaf family.
Oh, well, sure. The best jokes come from the people who are the butt of those jokes. I mean, you gotta embrace it, so I'm not surprised to hear that.
Like a couple years ago, I threw a surprise birthday party for my sister, and afterwards we're sitting down at dinner, and my sister, who is deaf, is signing to me, and she said, do you want to hear a good joke? And I said, sure. And then she said, me too. Yeah, but growing up in a deaf family, I couldn't learn how to talk from my family. I learned how to talk by copying all the voices I heard on TV. And I never got an accent from the Bronx, which is where I'm from. And everybody in the Bronx sounds like Tracy Morgan. Everybody in the Bronx
talk like this,
Right.
whether you black or white, male or female. That's crazy. Hey, this is the voice of your next door neighbor, and I'm a Vietnamese girl. That's crazy. So,
Right.
The weirder the voice, the easier it is for me to do it. From Christopher Walken,
Who's got a real stop and go kind of voice, where he'll talk every once in a while. He'll stop, and then he'll keep going.
or Adam Sandler, who's really silly, shibby-doo. So it became a superpower that I've been able to do.
Craig, it's funny you just said that. I was thinking to myself 2 minutes ago, I was going to say, well, everybody always says, would you rather be able to fly or would you rather be able to be invisible? And I was like, man, this is a when the Tom Arnold story, that's a superpower you have. You can screw up people's lives who are thousands of miles away because you literally sound just like them.
Yeah, and when we were teenagers trying to get out of the house to go out and party, I could call all of our parents and sound like one of our parents. Like it was.
Oh, that's unreal.
And let everybody know that everyone was going to be okay.
That's absolutely incredible. Yeah, you don't have to just do famous people. You can do your best friend's dad. You are the king if you're doing that in high school.
Yeah, and it obviously led to radio, and then now, doing voiceover stuff, Family Guy, American Dad, a lot of acting roles in between.
Sure.
I was discovered by Family Guy on YouTube. I never auditioned for them. Their casting director, Linda Lamontagne, called me up. We would like to offer you a job. Are you available? I was sitting in a Long John Silver's when she called me. And I said, yeah. Of all the shows I've been on, King of Queens, Sex and the City, Law and Order, never watched any of those shows, but Family Guy, I've been a super fan of. I was excited when I went in. It was just me and Seth MacFarlane alone in a recording studio. And I got so nervous walking in that every time he made a joke, I would laugh a little too hard. I would go, and he'd go, whoa, relax, just calm down. I go, all right, sorry. I felt like I'm talking to a girl for the first time. The whole recording session barely lasted 5 minutes. Seth kept doing one line as Peter Griffin, where he kept saying, this is crazier than when Al Pacino was a slumlord laundromat tenant. And then they cut to me as Al Pacino, surrounded by a bunch of broken down washers and dryers, going, you're out of order, and you're out of order, and you're all out of order.
There it is.
I did that 3 times. I recorded that line, and then Seth, who was running the board, said, all right, I think we're good. And I'm so nervous because I believe in my mind that we are going to be friends now. So I stand up. I love that laugh, Candace. I stood up and said, so you want to hang out? And he goes, hey, what do you mean hang out? And I said, I don't know, you want to grab a coffee or something? And he goes, I have to work. And I said, okay, do you want me to leave? And he goes, yeah, get the hell out of here. I said, oh, I'm sorry. Grabbed my paperwork, walked out, and every time I've come back, Seth MacFarlane's never around. It's always this guy, Mike Henry, who does the voice of Cleveland and the creepy old guy. And every time I see Mike, I go, hey, Mike, is Seth around? And every time I see him, he goes, don't worry about Seth. We'll get you out of here real quick. We'll get you out of here real quick. Like, I genuinely creeped out one of my favorite people in the world.
He clearly has he's got some lines in the sand. It's all right. Live and learn, brother. My last question, it's a very simple one. What's the hardest voice? They're all perfect, but which one took the most work?
It's fun to me to give up halfway. You know what's weird is I can't do Mark Wahlberg, but I do something I call out-of-breath Mark Wahlberg.
Perfect. Let's have it.
Which everyone across your audience is lowering their expectations already, which you should. So, out-of-breath Mark Wahlberg is, I can teach you how to do this. Heavy breathing and just say a few words at a time. This is the whole Mark Wahlberg impression. Guys, are you serious? That's the whole impression. That's the whole impression.
That's absolutely spectacular. That's fantastic. Craig, thank you for calling in, brother. I'm sorry to have to cut you out. GetGass, GetGass.com is the site. Take care, brother. Have a great time when you're in town.
You got it. Thank you, brother.
See ya.
The best of the KQ Morning Show.
Back to the best of the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
If you can already hear the excitement in my voice, it's because it is time, ladies and gentlemen, to play our favorite game on the KQ Morning Show. 2 callers on hold, ready to play. Tony Lee, what is today's game?
All right, let's saddle up.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey.
Toast. Toast. Toast.
I would like toast.
Toast. Who wants toast? I love toast.
When this guy put some bread in a toaster, you won't believe what happened next.
You've got bread and a toaster of some kind.
Can you make me a grilled cheese sandwich?
Your breakfast is ready.
I didn't hear a ding.
The KQ Morning Show presents...
All we need to do is beat the toaster.
Beat the toaster.
It's a game show. Beat the toaster.
Breakfast is ready.
All you got to do is beat the toaster, the Northland's most beloved anxiety-inducing game sensation. Here's what we do. We pop a slice of bread into the toaster here in the studio. We'll give you a category. Then you name as many things that pop into your pretty little head as possible in 15 seconds before the toast pops. Go ahead and beat the toaster.
Oh, it's the best. I'm so excited. Let's do it. Let's see if we can beat this toaster. Candace, who's our first caller today?
Kelly from Burnsville.
Kelly, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you ready to play Beat the Toaster?
Yeah.
These categories are a little odd. So open your mind, expand your mind.
You made it harder?
Breathe deeply, Kelly. Let your subconscious take over, and we wish you the best of luck.
God help me, Steve.
God help me, Steve.
The nicest thing anyone said to me in years.
Kel, you're familiar with the Minnesota State Fair and the attractions that exist there?
Yep.
Okay, so you're at the State Fair. You're going to ride a boat in the dark in Ye Old Mill.
Yep.
All right, in your deepest fantasies, who's riding on the boat with you? Go ahead.
Ozzy Osbourne, John Bon Jovi, Eric Clapton, Steve, Tony, let's see, not Bill Clinton, Donald Trump. Let's see.
You guys are in good company.
Wow.
Boat ride.
6, I believe.
I got 6, yeah. Do you take one away for not Bill Clinton? Or all right.
No, we don't. We're not subtracting. I honestly, I would pay money to see Ozzy and Donald Trump on a boat ride, just hanging out, chatting. That'd be fantastic. All right, so I got 6. I heard Ozzy, John Bon Jovi, Eric Clapton, Tony Lee.
All right.
I guess that's Steve Gorman. I appreciate that. And Donald Trump. 6 is a strong start, Kelly. Now, you're going to get round 2 in just a moment, so sit tight. We're going to go to caller number 2 for their round number 1 right now. Candace, who is caller number 2?
We have Don from Plymouth.
Don, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
All right, Don, we're going to give you the State Fair flavor as well. Even though it's dipped in delicious batter and fried to golden goodness, you won't eat it. What won't you put in your mouth? Go ahead.
A nasty, bogus sausage. A piece of an egg, a candy bar, ice cream, onions, and pizza.
Wow. Okay. Nasty, bogus sausage. That's number 1. Egg, candy bar. That's 6. I got 6. Wow, this is, I like it. 6. Well done, Don. You wouldn't eat a deep fried candy bar? That's the one thing I had.
You know, I did too, and it burnt the heck out of my mouth.
Well, down, take a... Jeez.
That hot candy.
I should have waited, I guess. You know how it is.
Yeah, I know. You're very excited.
I like a good neck and neck beat the toaster.
Sure.
All right, Don, sit tight. We're going back to Kelly for round 2. Kelly, are you ready? We're going to step it up. It's kind of like double jeopardy around here. This one might be a little tougher.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, do me a favor. Look at your feet. Maybe you're barefoot. Doesn't matter. Go ahead and assign nicknames to all of your toes. Go.
Piggy Wiggy, Daffy Duck, Donald Duck, Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Joe Biden, and Zach, and my brother, and my dad, and my uncle.
Well, I don't think we got dad in there. I got 8.
She's getting political
1, 2,
again.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I got 8. My brother is the last one.
Right. Can I please be the big toe?
You're Sergeant Holka.
You are our Sergeant Holka. Wow.
Aren't I?
Piggy Wiggy,
Yes.
Daffy Duck, Donald Duck, Minnie, Mickey. That was strong. All right, Kelly. You went 1, 2, what did we say? Was that 8? Wow, 14 total. All right, so sit tight, Kelly. Great job. 14 points in 2 rounds. Don, we're ready for round 2. You got your work cut out for you, brother. Kelly went for 8 on that one.
He's taking a cleansing breath.
Yeah,
a deep breath. It's great.
Up,
I understand. All right, Big Don. You're invited to a party you really don't want to go. Give some excuses to get you out of it. Go ahead.
I'm sick. I have to work. I got something I got to do. I'm ready to buy some tickets to a concert. I'm cooking. I have to bring my mom to the doctor. I have to bring my girlfriend to the doctor. I got to cut the lawn. I got to water the garden.
Ooh, I got. Wow. I got 9.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow.
Dang.
Don.
Right.
With 9 in round 2. Holy crap. What an effort, sir.
I make a lot of excuses.
Yeah,
clearly not your first rodeo for BSing your way out of an obligation.
But seriously, on a serious note, I do hope your mom and your girlfriend will be okay.
Hopefully they don't hear this, but I probably used that already on them.
Well.
More than once.
Don, sir, you have got 2 tickets to see Eric Clapton at the Excel Energy Center, provided by Jam Productions. Kelly, you're not leaving empty-handed. Wonderful work on your end. We have tickets for you to the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. That prize provided by the very same. Congrats to both of you. That was great.
That's got to be some sort of all-stars. Have we ever had a 14 and a 15? I don't think we've had that many.
It's our biggest total.
No, we've never come close to that.
Everybody really wants to see you go to the state fair, man. There's 154 comments.
This is great work, people.
On this day in 1970, a whale had washed up on the beach, and it lost its life. It washed up on the beach. Nobody could figure out how to get it back in the water. We still don't. I still don't think scientists really understand why whales will beach themselves. This was a large whale on a beach, not the kind of beach where people go out and get suntans necessarily. It's the Northwest Oregon. It's rugged and beautiful, but it's not like, you're sitting there with your umbrella and the kids are making sandcastles. It's a rugged beach area.
Right.
And there's a whale, giant whale on the beach that is no longer with us. And somebody got the brilliant idea, well, we don't have the ability to put this thing out to sea. It's dead. Maybe what we should do is, just put some dynamite out there and blow it up.
Hell yeah!
That's literally what they did.
Yeah,
that was the plan to get rid of a sperm whale that was washed up on the beach.
The idea was that they would use so much dynamite that it would literally disintegrate. They would blow it up into just a big, bloody, blubbery mist rather, and then it would just harmlessly fall back to Earth, not in massive chunks of blubber that could say, crush a car, break someone's spine. Here's a little bit of that news report from 1980.
Well, I'm confident that it'll work. The only thing is we're not sure just exactly how much explosives it'll take to disintegrate this thing, so the scavengers, seagulls and crabs and whatnot can clean it up. Our camera stopped rolling immediately after the blast. The humor of the entire situation suddenly gave way to a run for survival as huge chunks of whale blubber fell everywhere. A parked car over a quarter of a mile from the blast site was the target of one large chunk. The passenger compartment literally smashed. Everyone on the scene was covered with small particles of dead whale.
Yeah, this car is totaled. I mean, it looks like you dropped another car on top of it. In fact, you dropped about 300-pound pile of blubber from a whale a quarter of a mile away.
That is not Les Nessman, and that is not WKRP in Cincinnati reporting on turkeys. My God, I thought they could fly. That's a real story. That's 1970 in Oregon, and yes, the footage could. There's a YouTube link where you can see the footage. The lesson was learned. Always do what you can to avoid a 300-pound chunk of flying whale blubber, to be sure.
The humanity.
I think 80, you're right. 1970, a long time ago.
I love the idea of them taking a time. First of all, who in Florence Beach, Oregon, has TNT laying around? Mm-hmm. But they said they set the blasting caps. They were like, well, it'll blow it towards the water. No, it's not. It's just it blew it up and out in every direction. If you've never seen that link, it's truly, truly astonishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A quick find on YouTube of Oregon town blows up whale carcass will bring up that story. So they get together every year and celebrate this.
Sure they do.
Exploding Whale Day.
When it blew up, that was a smell beyond all description. We said, what do you want us to do? Well, they're going to dispose of this whale at the coast. We want you to go down and cover it. I said, really? And they said, they're going to use dynamite. I said, okay, we'll go.
Mostly what we focus on is bringing the community in, education, and talking about history a little bit. You know, this is a very historical event. We want to make sure that the whale is remembered.
Oh, shut up.
That's the difference between like Portland, Maine and Portland, Oregon. In Portland, Maine, they're like, well, we get together twice a year and we talk about Paul Revere retired in this neighborhood after he had alerted the crowds to the British. And in Portland, Oregon, it's like, well, we blew up a whale out here one time, man, and we want to just get the people together. Good Lord. What history. It's a great time to get together and celebrate history. Man, that's like a Simpsons episode come to life right there.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it.
Didn't
turn out quite the way they wanted it to.
No, it didn't. But that's life, is it not? How many times have you been in a situation where the reality just did not live up to expectations? Tony, you said we had a text from a listener.
Oh, yeah, well, this hit home. Barry in Ohio just said, I thought going to a radio station would be cooler. Went in. What a dump. Thanks, KQ.
Yeah, that's right.
The best of the KQ Morning Show.
If a man approaches you and says, would you like me to read your palm? That's not a good idea.
I mean, it's hard to meet women. We get this. So a woman walking through a Walmart parking lot, of course, this happened in Florida when this 52-year-old dude walked up. He said he was a fortune teller, but he said he could read her palm. But instead of reading her palm, he stuck his hand down her shirt, roped her, and then ran off.
Well, if he's a fortune teller, I hope he had the good sense to say to at least someone in his life, I see in my immediate future I'm going to be arrested.
Yeah, I'm going to need a lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, come on, at least put a button on that bit, fella.
Well, he didn't have to run away. What if he stopped and went, wait a minute, let me give my report? Maybe this is replacing the palm.
Did I say palm reader? I'm sorry. Cleavage reader.
I got my palm read once. I was in high school.
Do tell.
And then said I was going to have two great loves in my life, and I was going to have to choose between them.
Ozzy and
goats.
Goats.
Or maybe it's between two goats. What if you had to choose between your goats?
That's messed up.
What if it was between Gigi and a goat?
Oh, my God. Don't even do this to me right now.
Gigi or the goat?
So wait, the palm reader said two great loves?
Yes.
That's what it was? And was this palm reader, was there like a kerchief across her head? Were there a lot of jewelry?
Full shebang.
I'm just picturing like every movie trope I've ever seen about a fortune teller.
Cards, were there cards?
A giant mole on her cheek.
Yeah, big mole.
Big hair coming
on
right
it.
out of the middle of that mole. I'm looking at my palms right now. There's those lines that have been there forever. Is it not... Of all the things people have gotten away with for millennia, is reading palms not the silliest one of all time? Oh, I see by these lines, all of these external things in your life that involve other humans will surely happen.
There's your lifeline. There's your marriage line.
Exactly. What does that mean? When's the last time you were on a date and you were like, this is going really well. I better show her my palm.
And on the palm it says Cindy.
Talk to the hand. Cindy.
So it's a sign.
Well, you could tell looking at my palm that I don't work for a living. It's obvious.
Okay, there's that. This is why I don't buy into horoscopes, too. Like, one thing where I say the reason I don't buy horoscopes is that Bob Marley and Axl Rose share a birthday. That's it. That's all I needed to know. I'm out.
They share the same future.
They have the same day. Don't tell me those two men have anything in common. I'm just saying. Don't buy in.
The KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.